If you use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, or any of the AI coding tools, you have probably seen the model picker. And the temptation is obvious. Choose the biggest, newest, smartest looking model every time. Because if one model is more powerful, why not always use it? Well, because that can be like using a table saw to open an envelope. It works technically, but it is expensive, slow, and somewhere in the distance, a safety manual is quietly weeping. Today, I want to give you a practical way to think about AI models without memorizing every provider's current menu. The goal is simple: spend the expensive brain power only when the task actually needs it. Here's the rule for the whole video. Use the smallest model that can do the job well. Move up only when the task actually needs more capability. That sounds simple, but it changes how you use AI. Instead of asking, which model is smartest, ask, what kind of thinking does this task need? Some jobs need speed, some need nuance, some need code, some need visual understanding, some need a big pile of documents, and some need careful, step-by-step reasoning, different jobs, different tools. Before we sort the models, we need one plain English explanation of tokens and credits. In API tools, tokens are the chunks of information the model processes. Your prompt uses tokens. The answer uses tokens. Previous conversation, pasted documents, files, screenshots, tool results, and cached context can all affect usage depending on the system. Pricing pages usually split that into things like input tokens, output tokens, cached input, and sometimes image, audio, or other modality costs. But in consumer apps, you may not see tokens directly. You may see message limits, credits, premium requests, usage caps, or plan allowances. Those are product-specific wrappers around usage. So do not treat a ChatGPT message limit, a Copilot AI credit, a Claude plan limit, and an API token as the same unit. They are related ideas, but each product counts and charges in its own way. There is one phrase I want to clean up. Big models use more tokens. Sometimes that is not exactly what is happening. The same prompt may be the same number of input tokens no matter which model reads it. But a stronger model may cost more per token. It may produce a longer answer. A reasoning model may use extra internal thinking tokens. A coding agent may pull in more project context, and some apps charge more credits or requests for advanced models. So the practical version is this. Advanced models often burn through your budget faster, but the exact reason depends on the provider, model, plan, and tool. That is why this episode is about model classes, not today's exact price list. First, small, fast, or mini models. These are the utility knives. They are great for simple summaries, cleaning up notes, formatting text, extracting action items, making a first draft, rewriting a paragraph, or answering a basic question. If your prompt is, turn these meeting notes into bullet points, you probably do not need the most powerful reasoning model available. You need a fast model that follows directions. Small models are especially useful for repeated chores. If you process lots of similar text, classify things, clean up formatting, or make rough drafts, small models can save time and cost. The warning: do not use them as your final authority for high-risk work. If the answer affects money, security, health, legal decisions, production systems, or client deliverables, you need stronger review, better sources, and possibly a more capable model. Second, general flagship models. These are the high-quality multi-tools. Use them for mixed or fuzzy work, shaping an article, planning a project, improving a script, writing a nuanced email, comparing options, or explaining something to a specific audience. The flagship model is often a comfortable default when you care about quality but do not need specialized deep reasoning. It will usually be better at tone, nuance, instruction following, and ambiguity than the smallest model. But it is still not necessary for trivial work. If your job is alphabetize this list, the flagship model is probably overkill. Third, reasoning models. These are the slow expert with a whiteboard. Use them when the task has steps, trade-offs, constraints, uncertainty, or failure modes. For example, compare these two software architectures. Debug why this backup workflow is failing. Plan a migration with risks and rollback steps. Evaluate these three options and tell me what could go wrong. That is where reasoning models shine. Their value is not just prettier wording, their value is thinking through the problem, but that thinking can cost more. Depending on the system, reasoning effort can affect speed, token use, or plan allowance. Some platforms include thinking tokens in usage, others translate advanced model use into credits or premium requests. So do not use a reasoning model to summarize a 3-sentence email. Use it when you actually need the model to wrestle with the problem. Fourth, coding models. These are your pair programmers. Use them for PowerShell, Python, config files, SQL, debugging error messages, writing tests, explaining logs, and reviewing code changes. The smart way to use a coding model is with boundaries. Bad prompt, fix my app. Better prompt, here's the error, here's the function, and here's what I expected. Explain the cause, suggest the smallest fix, and tell me what test to run. Coding models can be extremely useful. They can also confidently create code that is wrong, insecure, destructive, or just subtly weird. Use version control, work in a copy, read the changes, run tests, and for sysadmin work, be especially careful with scripts that delete, move, rename, or modify real data. Fifth, multimodal models. These are the models that can look at things. Use them when the problem is visual. A screenshot, chart, PDF, UI mockup, camera settings screen, error dialog, diagram, or photo. If you are trying to explain a weird Windows dialog box, uploading the screenshot may be faster than describing it. If you are reviewing a thumbnail, a chart, or a website layout, the model needs eyes. But do not use multimodal just because it sounds advanced. If the question is text only, text is usually cheaper and cleaner. The question is, does the model need to see this to answer well? Sixth, long context models. Think of long context as a big work table. It lets you put a lot of material in front of the model: transcripts, policies, documentation, project files, research notes, or meeting history. This is useful when the model must compare details across a lot of material. For example, read this policy manual and this draft procedure, then find conflicts. Or review these 3 transcripts and identify recurring customer complaints. But a bigger work table is not the same thing as a cleaner workshop. If you dump a mountain of unrelated text into a chat, the model may miss what matters, answer vaguely, or spend your budget chewing through clutter. Before you use long context, ask, can I summarize this first? Can I split it into sections? Can I remove irrelevant material? Can I tell the model exactly what to look for? Seventh, local and private models. These are the tools in your own workshop. They can be great for privacy-sensitive drafts, offline-ish tinkering, experiments, predictable local workflows, and learning how AI systems behave. But local does not mean free in the cosmic sense. You still pay with hardware, electricity, setup time, maintenance, and sometimes lower quality. A local model may be perfect for rewriting notes on your own machine, but not good enough for high-quality reasoning, current facts, or complex coding work. Use local models when control, privacy, experimentation, or cost predictability matters enough to justify the setup. So how do you choose? Here's the checklist. 1. Is the task simple or complex? If it is cleanup, formatting, basic summarizing, or a first draft, start small. 2. How much context does it need? If the model only needs 1 paragraph, do not feed it a whole project. If it needs the whole manual, use long context carefully. 3. How expensive is a mistake? If the answer affects money, security, health, legal decisions, client work, or production systems, slow down. Use sources, use review, consider a stronger model. 4. Do I need a special ability? For code, use a coding-capable model. For screenshots, use multimodal. For hard trade-offs, use reasoning. For piles of documents, use long context. 5. Is this worth premium credits? This is the question most people skip. If you are using Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or an API tool, advanced models may spend real money or limited monthly allowance. Spend that budget where it matters. And 6, can I escalate? Start with a cheaper model, ask it for a draft, summary, or first pass. If it struggles, move the refined problem to a stronger model. For example, use a small model to summarize a long thread. Then give that summary to a reasoning model and ask for a decision. That is often better than throwing the whole messy thread at the most expensive model from the start. The real skill is not knowing every model name. Those names change constantly. The real skill is knowing what kind of thinking the task needs. Small model for chores, flagship model for nuanced general work, reasoning model for hard problems, coding model for code, multimodal model when it needs to see, long context model when it needs the whole pile, local model when control and privacy are worth the setup. Start with the smallest model that can do the job, and spend the expensive brain power only when it earns its keep.